rewind, 2021. There was a parade in my city. Number one pick, dancing in the street. Everybody was hitting the good. Kid arrived in the D, and it was live as can be. They can ball, but we didn't want Green, Mobley, or Scotty B. No, when he got hurt, everyone lost it. Storylines leaking, no faucet. Caught him wash when he broke his tibia. All the haters, time to get it really Everybody wanna be Skip Bayless. Wanna throw shade, okay, say less. Deuce went number one for a reason. It'll click by the end of the season. When he wins most improved player. Gonna be a movie, here's the trailer. Don't say I didn't try to warn ya. Co-signed by Win Benyamin.
Cade Cunningham.
He was raised in Texas, but now he's Detroit flexing. Team USA, he was killing them. Got him effed up, let me quote Eminem. Nowadays, everybody wanna talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move their lips. It's a bunch of gibberish and money lovers act like they forgot about Cade. Nowadays, everybody wanna talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move their lips. It's a bunch of gibberish and money lovers act like they forgot about Cade.
Forgot about Cade, they forgot about Cade. Forgot about, how you forget about Cade?
Well, what do you know? Cade Cunningham is officially an all-star. 4 years in the making. Who would have thought? Well, we all would have thought, right? We all know this has been a long time coming for our guy, Cade Cunningham. Let me start with this. First of all, shout out to everybody who's here. Welcome to another episode of The Deuce Show. This was not a planned video, but I definitely wanted to hop on at least for a few minutes, half hour, whatever, and just bask in the ambiance of our guy, Cade Cunningham, our boy Cade Cunningham, finally being recognized for the basketball talent that he is. Cade Cunningham, man, it's so refreshing to finally see the basketball gods give a nod in our favor as Detroit Pistons fans. And I want to give a major shout out to not only Cade, but also his family, right? This is the old saying where it takes a village. Definitely is a case when it comes to Cade Cunningham, and not even just as a basketball player, but just as a person. We know Troy Weaver is no longer the GM of this team, but one thing that he always said is that he always wanted to draft not just good basketball players, but good people. And that is what Cade Cunningham is. He is a good human being, and he comes from good stock. He comes from good family. And this journey has not just been his own. You know, if you want to go all the way back to his older brother, Cade Cunningham, is actually where the journey started when it comes to the Cunningham family. You could go back even further to his father, Keith Cunningham, who shares the same name with me, who also had aspirations to play football, but had an injury that prevented that. So it's in their blood, right? It's in their genes. The athleticism, just the skill, it's all in their blood. And so for Cade to finally be recognized on a major scale for their family, it's a big deal. So shout out to Cade Cunningham. Cade Cunningham, just to give you guys a little background, Cade Cunningham actually played for SMU in college for Coach Larry Brown, the same Larry Brown that coached the Detroit Pistons to an NBA championship. And Cade was so good that Larry Brown actually said that Cade had the ability to go to the NBA himself. But Cade is one that does not need accolades and spotlight. Cade is more on the introverted side. Cade is a little bit more extroverted. And so Cade is a teacher at heart. He is a coach at heart. Very, very smart guy. Very, very intellectual. Very, very smart guy. And he knows the game very, very well. And just for him to support his brother the way that he has, and to not care about the fanfare, to not care about the spotlight, to not care about the attention or the credit, but to see baby bro be successful, that speaks wonders. That speaks wonders. And so for Cade to have this opportunity now is very, very rewarding for him and his whole family, and something that we have all been wanting to see. We're going to get into the All-Star snubs. We're going to take a look at a few videos tonight. Shout out to everybody who's here. Mikey, I see you. Phantom, I see you. Everybody, I see you guys. And shout out to you guys for voting, for getting out there and voting and supporting our star player. Now let's get to Ashton, his cousin. Ashton, the trainer, the first thing that he said when he first got here is, we are going to turn Detroit up. As soon as Cade got drafted, that was the first thing he said. We're going to turn Detroit up. Hey, AB, that's exactly what you guys have done. You guys have done that on and off the court. They have done so many things for this, not even just for the city, but for the state of Michigan. When it comes to Flint, the help that they provided for those in need in the city of Flint and elsewhere that go under the radar, right? So we got a great basketball player, but we got a great family to represent our city. And Ashton has always been, I call him the Spike Lee Detroit, because he's always campaigning. He's always representing the city. He's always trying to put us in the good light. He's always trying to be positive. He's been saying 6 seed forever. 6 seed, 6 seed. We hear it. And, you know, just the support that they've shown, it's not just all talk, right? It's not just all talk. They really back up what they say and what they do. And now we're in a situation to where we can all reap the benefits of that. So shout out to you, AB. Everything that you've done for the city, everything that you've done for us, we know it's just the beginning, and we know it's going to continue in the future. Also, Kennard, I'm going to get to him last. Kennard, that's my dog, Cade's cousin. Cade's one of Cade's closest companions, friends, whatever you want to call it, cousin. Very good dude, too. Also, very introverted, very to himself, very low key, doesn't need the spotlight, doesn't need the attention. But they all embody the same things. They all are good people. They are all class personified, and they have all represented the city in a major way. So let's actually take a look at the announcement that was made. So on NBA on TNT tonight was where the official announcement was made, where Cade Cunningham was going to represent our Detroit Pistons as an Eastern Conference All-Star. So I just want to take a second to watch that together, and we can go from there.
Oh, from the Detroit Pistons, Cade Cunningham.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
A first-timer here, Cade Cunningham, the 23-year-old. Pistons much improved, 23-24. Fourth season. 25 points a game is number 14. 9 assists per night is number 3 in the league. And 11 games of 30-plus and double-digit assist games, 20 of them this year for Cade Cunningham.
I'm so happy for that kid.
First-time All-Star.
My bad. I was just saying, shout out to Cade, man, for actually sticking it out with the Pistons, man. We know it's been tough sledding. This is year 4 for him. And I don't think anybody expected him or the team to be successful year 1, maybe even year 2, especially because he had the injury year 2. But in year 1, it was tough sledding, right? We know the situation. It wasn't pretty. And for us to be in year 4 now, even before year 4, let's go to year 2. When he got hurt in year 2, when he broke his tibia, as I mentioned in my song, a lot of people were saying, oh, he's going to be injury prone. Oh, he's going to be this. He's going to be that. He's not going to be good enough. He's a bust. He's washed. Anything you could think of, they were saying it, right? And we knew better, right? You don't always see the success of a player if your team is not successful, right? But sometimes when a player is so good, and he's so talented, you can still see through that. You can still see through. You can peel back the layers and still see him for what he is as a player. Even though he was put in situations that didn't make him put him at his best, right? There were times when he was put in positions where you could see he was flustered. You could see he didn't have the talent around him. You can see the roster construction around him was not what it needed to be. And for him to finally start to get pieces around him that make sense, and you see how quickly he is able to show how good he is. I'm going to use this example because I know a lot of people don't like Matt Stafford for obvious reasons. But you look at what Matt Stafford did when he was here. And then you look at what happened as soon as he got to a situation that was a winning situation. Year 1, he won the championship, won the Super Bowl. So I think sometimes in those situations, you can still see the player is still a very talented player. And that's kind of what I saw here with Cade. That's what a lot of us here saw with Cade. And here we are. So I also want to get to a few other things too. I want to get to some All-Star. Well, let's take a look at the actual rosters first. Let's take a look at the actual All-Star rosters, see who the starters are, see who the reserves are, and then we can kind of go from there, because there are a few guys who I was actually surprised did not make the All-Star team. But we are going to start with the starters. So the starters for the Eastern Conference are Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Karl Anthony Towns. I honestly don't have any gripes with any of these. I thought Cade actually could have gotten in over Jalen Brunson, but you consider their record, you consider the success they're having, you consider how well Cat is playing, who also is an all-star. So you see they're rewarding winning. They really rewarded winning this year. And I think for the better of the game. You know, winning should be rewarded. It's a big reason why Cade was not getting recognition before. And that's why he is now. So as far as the reserves, this was a little bit surprising to me, but pleasantly surprising. So Jaylen Brown, of course, Pascal Siakam, I'm not mad at that. Pascal Siakam has had a resurgent year. He is looking like Toronto Pascal Siakam this year. The past few seasons, it looked like Father Time may have been catching up to him. Even though he's not old player, it just looked like he was a step slow. But this season, he has really been resurgent. Even though I'm not a fan of the other Pacers for obvious reasons, but I still do think he deserves to be there. Darius Garland, obviously, I was not surprised. I was thinking at least 2 Cleveland Cavaliers would make the team because they had the best record in the Eastern Conference, right? When our Pistons in the early 2000s were winning at a high rate with the best record in the Eastern Conference in 2006, we had 4 All-Stars. We had Chauncey Billups, Richard Hamilton, Rasheed Wallace, and Ben Wallace. So winning has always been rewarded, right? It has always been rewarded. So I'm not mad with Darius Garland getting there. He's had a great year. And also Evan Mobley. I was surprised by Mobley because I didn't think they would allow 3 this year. But once again, I'm not mad at it because they're rewarding winning. And he's had a good year. Evan Mobley's a good player. I don't think he's on the level of Cade, but he's a good player. Damian Lillard. Okay, I'm not mad at that. Dame has been playing well, right? Dame is doing what Dame does, and he's doing it in a winning situation. And I think that's the biggest and most important thing for him. Last season, we knew it took time for him and Giannis to kind of figure it out. And it seems like this year they're starting to kind of figure out each other and figure out the rest of the team and how they all work together. So I'm not mad at that. Tyler Hero was surprising for me. That was a little surprising for me. I was thinking that maybe a Tyrese Maxey would get in. But I'm not mad at Tyler Hero. They're not a really great team, but okay, I guess I could see that. But I thought Tyrese Maxey was going to get that final spot. There were a few guys who actually surprised me as far as who did not make this team. 2 guys stuck out to me. The first one is Trae Young. Trae Young seems, for whatever reason, to have rubbed the league the wrong way because he not only doesn't make all-star teams, he doesn't make Olympic teams. He does not get any love from the league. And then also LaMelo Ball. And this was very interesting for me, the LaMelo Ball piece, because in prior years, the NBA format was very different. It was very different. As far as the starters and the reserves, just the whole format was different. So here's what I mean. Let's pull this up and look at this together. As far as the results, I think this is the first time in recent memory I can remember where the number 1 vote getter did not make the All-Star team. I don't think I've ever seen that before. That was very, very surprising. I'm not saying it wasn't the right decision because, once again, we just talked about rewarding winning. And he has not been winning. What have they won? I think 11 games up to this point. They're a little bit ahead of pace of where we were last year. So, but here's what I mean when I say this. LaMelo Ball, number 1 in vote getting, even over Donovan Mitchell, which is surprising. But in prior years, you could get in as a starter strictly off the fan vote, right? Strictly off the fan vote. And that was not the case this year. That was not the case this year. The fan vote was coupled with the coach's vote and the media vote. And based on those 3 components together, he was not one of the starters. He didn't have enough votes to be a starter. And so here's the thing. if a guy like LaMelo doesn't get in as a starter, he's not going to get in at all. It's likely that he's not going to get in at all. Because since the coaches vote for the reserves, they also look at winning. That's what they pay attention to. They look at impact on the game. They don't just look at stats. They don't look at flashy plays. They don't look at top 10 plays. They don't care about that stuff as much as the fans do, as even the media may. So I like this format because it's really allowing, even though I do think it's important that you give the fans what they want, you still need to give the basketball heads what they want too. And I still think the players, player for player, should be recognized based on that. And that is the reason why you have a guy like LaMelo Ball, who is the leading vote getter, does not even make the team. And once again, I don't think I've ever seen that before. So maybe this would be something that LaMelo has to think about. Maybe this is a wake-up call that maybe he needs to make sure that when he plays, he's playing winning basketball, right? Cade is not a flashy player. He's a smooth player, but he's not a flashy player. He's not a super athlete. He's just a very smart player that gets the job done. He's very cerebral. He's very smart. He's a team player. He does all the things you want him to do on and off the court. And so that is why a guy like Cade, even though he was 7th in voting, still gets rewarded. And that is why a guy like LaMelo Ball, who was 1st in voting, doesn't make it at all. And like I said, in years past, the starters were solely voted in by the fans and nothing else. So I like this kind of changing of the guard because while it still gives the fans what they want, it also keeps it fair. So I was really surprised by that. But once again, I was really happy to see that. Trae Young. So we have three guys here who were above Cade, who didn't make the team at all. I love it. LaMelo Ball, Trae Young, Tyrese Maxey, all out. Cade Cunningham in, Darius Garland in, Tyler Hero in. That's what I like to see. That is very, very refreshing for me. That's basketball purity in my mind, right? We want to see the dunks. We want to see the shooting, all this stuff. Fine. But you still have to reward winning players and winning basketball. And that's what both of those guys are. So shout out to the league for making that change. Who surprised you guys? Who were you surprised by? Anybody in the chat? Let's see what we got here. Cade is better than Brunson. I agree. I think he is better than Brunson personally on both ends of the court. Surprise Trae and make it over Hero. That's what I'm saying, Brandon. That was surprising for me. That was surprising because I think player for player, Trae is probably better. But it just seems like for whatever reason, Trae the last 4 or 5 years has not gotten the love that you would think he would get. He's a very talented guard, especially at a size. The things he's able to do with his size are incredible. Incredible. Me being an undersized guard when I played in high school, I know how difficult it is to play against guys who are much bigger than you, right? So for him to still be effective, he's not a good defender, right? We know that. He's not a good defender. And maybe that went into it. Once again, these are coaches who are voting for the reserves. So that may be a part of why Trae also didn't get in, right? Because even though his team does have a winning record, I believe, to this point, they don't care as much about flashy play. They're basketball purists. Cade is a basketball purist's dream, right? He just plays the game the right way. And his brother having been coached by Larry Brown, who always preached that moniker of playing the right way, it just makes sense that Cade is too. It just makes sense that he plays basketball the right way. So love to see it, man. Another thing I want to take a look at here was Cade's reaction to the news of him actually being selected as an All-Star. So let's take a look at that as well. So as you guys can see there, here's Cade, and here's his brother Cannon. All smiles, looking like a proud father. Super excited for a little brother. I love it, man. I absolutely love it. It's just a thing of beauty to see stuff like that for families, right? For the sake of families, man. And you could just see Cade just kind of taking it in, It's been a long journey for him. Just look at what happened last year, man. And this is why I'm so happy for Cade, is that the past season, we know how much of a disaster that was. And for him to show the resiliency that he showed, for him to sit up there post-game 68 times, 68 losses, and answer the same questions over and over again, especially through that 28-game losing streak. I can only imagine how annoying that had to be. You're already annoyed because you are getting laughed at around the league. Nobody respects you as a team. Nobody respects you as a player. Everybody thinks you're overrated. They're thinking, if you're so good of a player, why you only got 14 wins? A number one pick wouldn't allow his team to lose 28 straight games. All of it, all the noise. And then have to sit up there right after a game and explain the same things over and over again. And then have to bite your tongue on a lot of things that you want to say too, every single night. And for him to try to be baited at, there were times he was trying, I wouldn't say Detroit media, but I've seen other reporters try to bait him into sound bites, into saying something that they can use because they may think he's emotional right now. Let's see if we can get some angry responses. I saw it. Cade never budged, man. He never budged. He just said, don't jump off the boat. Don't jump off the boat. He was always positive. That is a sign of maturity for a young player. That is a part of why he was drafted number 1 overall. It's because of his maturity. He didn't allow his teammates to see him sulking. He didn't allow his teammates to see the leader giving in to the pressure, bending under the pressure, because when you're a leader, those who follow you are going to do what you do. So he's a galvanizer. He galvanizes the troops. So for him to go through that the past 3 seasons, including the injury season where he may have had issues or concerns about his long-term future. This is before he got his big contract, early in his career. We've seen so many things go wrong for guys who are talented before they even lift off. They're riddled with injuries and their career doesn't take off the way it's supposed to. So he had a lot to deal with. His first few years. And we all know the track record with Detroit. We all know this Detroit versus everybody. It's always been Detroit versus everybody. Nobody wants to see us win outside of our city. It's always been that way. It's probably always going to be that way. But it didn't matter because when we were winning, it was always us against the world. And regardless of what happened and regardless of what was said, they couldn't take away our championships. They couldn't take away those championship rings. They couldn't take away those banners. They couldn't take away those trophies. They couldn't take away the pride. And Cade is beginning to bring that back. I think about a guy like Grant Hill, who was a great player for this team. Could have been one of the greatest players to ever play this game. Should have been one of the greatest players, recognized as one of the greatest players ever to play this game. Didn't have enough help. He did not have enough help. He had an older Joe Dumars and a younger Lindsey Hunter. And that was pretty much the extent of the talent that he had on his basketball team. And injuries just riddled his career before it really lifted off the ground. And it's one of the most tragic what-if stories I can remember. That, Penny Hardaway, so many others, Brandon and Roy. So it is just so heartwarming for me to see Cade lifting off and taking the city with him, right? Putting the city on his back, getting to the mountaintop, turning around, and bringing the city with him. That's what he's done. This city believes again. There's belief in the city now that the Pistons can make some noise. Respectability is returning for the Detroit Pistons. And I kind of know he was going to make the All-Star game because of how much money was being put into the media push. That doesn't usually happen unless there's some inkling that a player who is ascending is going to be headed to that next level. So I had an idea he was going to get there. I think most of us did. But to see it come to fruition and to see it actually happen is it makes me really proud to be Detroit, to be a Detroiter, to be from here, because we always get it out the mud. And Cade is one of those guys that he's relentless. He's relentless, man. Devin, you said it best. He's got heart. And Brandon, you also said it best. The praise needs to be as loud as the criticism that he got last year. Everybody's quiet now. The media is loud, but the haters are quiet. They're really quiet. They got their tail between their legs and they ran away. But it's okay because it doesn't matter. Because like Broderick said, we took it. We took it. Cade took it. He earned it. And this is just the beginning for him. Question for you guys. How many All-Star appearances will Cade rack up in his career? I was thinking about this earlier today. I think if he stays healthy, and that's always a given, I think because of his style of play, because he doesn't rely on athleticism, he can really prolong his career. I could see him reaching close to 10 All-Star appearances in his career because of that, because of how he plays, because of his style of play. Hopefully they'll all be here with Detroit, right? But I could definitely see him getting 10 plus All-Star appearances in his career. His game is predicated on this. And this doesn't go away, right? The same way shooting doesn't go away. Athleticism, you know, the springs in your legs, that eventually fades over time. But the more you play the game in the NBA, and not even just the NBA, but the more you do anything, the more you continue to get reps in with anything, the easier it's going to get. So as long as he's got this, as long as this is sharp, he can continue to play as long as he wants to. And that's a beautiful thing to see. Phantom of Darkness says, I have him at 12 to 13. I can see it. I can see it. I got him at 10. I can see it. I think we're on the same page. I really think it's possible, man. So I'm just really happy, man. I didn't have a script for tonight. I just wanted to come on here with you guys and just kind of talk about the fact that our guy Cade is finally reaping the benefits of his labor. Easy work, barring injury, and he's media savvy. Like, yeah, he's very likable. He's very likable. And I think that's very important too, is that he stays out of trouble. He's never in trouble. He's never in any mess, right? Not to throw shade at anybody in the league who has, but we know what it is, right? We don't see him in any media that is negative. Nothing. So he makes it even better for us from the standpoint as Detroiters, to where people can say, yep, that's what I thought. That's Detroit. No. He's changing the narrative. That's my point. He's changing the narrative as a whole, not just on the basketball court. But look at the city now. Look at, in large part, to what the Lions have done to change the whole outlook of how the city is viewed. The perception of the city has changed completely. This is somewhere that people want to come now. This is downtown Detroit used to be somewhere you drive through, not drive to. Now everybody's downtown. Everybody's at Ford Field. Everybody now is starting to come to LCA. Everybody now is going to the Tiger Stadium. Everybody now is showing up to watch the Red Wings play. So this is just the beginning for Cade Cunningham. This is just the beginning. You know, God willing, he stays healthy. And we can continue to watch him continue to get better and better as this team continues to put more and more weapons around him. And I'm confident that they'll continue to do that. Like Detroit City, do you think this will add pressure? No, I don't think so. I think the majority of the pressure is gone now. Because when you're a number one pick, you have to do a lot to just validate you being a number one pick. It's so easy for you to get negative attention because the expectation is so high, right? And so that's why I think most of the pressure, I think he had most of the pressure on him year 2 and year 3, which was last year. Year 2, when he had the injury, a lot of people were saying, is he injury prone? All these different things. Is he washed? Is he a bust? All this nonsense. That was pressure because he had to know that was coming too. And when he returned in year 3, he had to not only get used to his body again, right? Get back up to game speed, get his wind back, get his timing back. He also had to deal with the coaching situation that we had, the roster situation that we had, the losses that we had. So it was a lot of things that were kind of mounting on him at one time. That to me was when he had the most pressure. Now that he's over the hump, now that the Pistons have added pieces around him that make sense, now that he has a level of validation, I don't think he's looking back. I think he is going to continue to ascend and continue to ascend. Because if you watch this year, he has a different look in his eyes. He's not nice anymore. Not that he was ever nice or soft. I'm not saying he was ever soft because he's not soft. But he is mean on the court now. He's got more of that Russell Westbrook in him now. Even though he's not outward like Russell Westbrook, even that Anthony Edwards, just that edge to where we're not friends on a basketball court. I'm looking to take your heart and embarrass you. Right? That's the word, Devin. Aggressive. He has a certain level of aggression now. And I think he understands now that he's been in the league long enough. That's kind of who you have to be if you're going to be that good. You have to have a certain mindset if you're going to be a certain level of player. How many nice superstars do you know? Right? So, and when I mean nice, I think you guys understand what I'm saying is there's a certain edge you have to have about you when you're on the court. Off the court is different. Some guys are able to compartmentalize and turn it off when they get off the court. Russ is one of those guys. Russ is all smiles after wins in the post game when he's in a good situation. On the court, he's barely finished with the basketball. So it seems like Cade, the switch flipped with him as far as understanding, okay, I got to change my approach a little bit. I got to grab this by the horns now and really just lead this thing and be unapologetic about everything that I'm doing right now and take guys' hearts. And that mindset, along with his work ethic, has helped him to get to where he is now. And that's why I think that the worst is over as far as any pressure that he may experience. He may have times where it's like, are the Pistons going to make the playoffs? Are the Pistons going to do well? Are they going to get past the first round? Are they going to be another first round exit? Things like that you're probably going to hear. But as far as him as a player, I think that's gone. I think that's gone. All Detroit sports teams coming up at the same time. Yes, I really believe that Cade is the reincarnation of Grant Hill on the court. He isn't as athletic, but I watched footage the other day and yes, yeah, man. Grant Hill was 6'8", point forward. I watched Grant Hill when I was about 11, 12 years old, when I was really beginning to fall in love with the game. And just watching him, I remember watching him, it seemed like every time the Pistons played the Bulls, even though the Bulls at that time, 95, 96, were winning 72 games, Grant Hill was winning the matchup more times than not against Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. It reminded me of when Derrick Rose used to, at times, win the matchup against Dwayne Wade and LeBron James. It was like that. It was like that. Grant Hill could have been the best player. I think there was a short period of time where Grant Hill and Penny Hardaway were rivaling each other for best player in the world. When Jordan had the 45, before he had come back to himself again, when he was playing baseball, when he had returned, yeah, Grant Hill and Penny Hardaway, in my opinion, were the two best players in the game. The game, not the East, the game. And so to see that type of player now in Cade, I see the same level of potential as you mentioned. And that's why I'm so excited. Because if the Pistons do this right, if they do this right, if they manage the situation right, and I'm confident Trajan can, they can do the same thing, but on a greater scale because they can actually try to win championships. It seems as if the Pistons back in those days were content with having another star. And that was really it. Many thought Lindsey Hunter was going to be the next Isaiah Thomas, right? And that's just not fair. That's just not fair. Lindsey Hunter was a very good player. Good player. But that's not fair. So Grant Hill really carried the load for this team. Joe Dumars, at that point in his career, was in the twilight of his career. So he wasn't the same player from the 89-90 season when we were competing for championships and winning back-to-back championships. So it really was just Grant Hill as far as star power. So to see Cade, the Pistons cannot repeat that situation again. Mike Keys, what's good, bro? Penny was never better than Shaq. Yeah, that's not true. Not true. Not true. I totally disagree with that. Totally disagree with that. Early in Shaq's career, when Shaq was not polished, when he was more athletic, but not as polished, Penny was the better player, in my opinion. And Shaq, he never could shoot free throws, but he was very raw. Very raw. Didn't have a true post game. he was very dominant, but he was just dunking the basketball. It wasn't until LA when he really developed his post game. That's why he got abused by Hakeem Olajuwon when they lost and got swept in the finals by the Rockets. If Shaq from LA was the Shaq in Orlando when they played the Houston Rockets, maybe they don't get swept. They don't get swept. I lived that. I lived that time, bro. I was there. I watched it live and on TV. So before Penny got hurt, Penny was that dude. Ask around. Ask around, man. He was that dude. It's different. It's different. Sasser is kind of similar to Lindsay. Yeah, he is. He is. I think he has a deeper bag offensively. And I think Lindsay had a deeper bag defensively, right? I do like the competitive fire that Sasser plays with, though. He does remind me of Lindsay in that aspect of being a pit bull, right? I think about the 2004 Lindsey Hunter with Mike James when those guys were turning over the Milwaukee Bucks on back-to-back plays in the backcourt in Game 1 of the 2004 Eastern Conference first round. If you know, you know. And so I see that. I see that with Sasser. I hope Sasser can carve out a role for himself, and I hope the Pistons put him in a situation to where he can do that. Because we know right now Marcus Sasser is not a point guard. He's not a point guard. He's a shooting guard. And I think because he is only 6'2", he gets penciled in as a point guard, but he's not. So hopefully the Pistons can get a backup point guard that can help Sasser's game. I do love Sasser. He plays great defense. He plays hard on defense. He plays very tough defense. Shout out to Chucky Atkins too. He was underrated. Just too bad we didn't get a ring. Yeah, I know. It's really unfortunate because I remember Chucky when he was here in 2002. I think it was 2001 through 2003 when he was here, because Chauncey came in 03 and he took over the starting role that Chucky held. And it seems like the following year when we let Chucky go, Chauncey came. And that was when they won the championship. It was hard to see that because Chucky was good, man. I love Chucky Atkins. I love that whole team. But we had Chucky Atkins and Cliff Robinson and John Barry, Ben Wallace, of course. That team, that was a fun team. Corliss Williamson, that was a fun team. I miss those days. Y'all taking me back now. The penny shoes were cold, bro. I had a pair of those. I'm not going to tell you how I got them, but I definitely had a pair of those for sure. So yeah, man, this was really good. Let me guys ask you guys a question, because we haven't talked about this before. What is your favorite Piston moment? I meant to ask you guys this before. What is your favorite Pistons moment? It can be the Bad Boys team. It can be the 04 team. It can be the 2016 team when we played the Cleveland Cavaliers in the playoffs. What is your favorite all-time Pistons moment? I think mine was, and it may be an easy answer, but for me it's 04 championship. Because even though I lived through the 88, 89, and 89, 90 championship, I lived through it. I was 3 and 4 years old. So I vaguely remember it, but I do remember it. So for me, in 2004, the Pistons won a championship, and that was the year that I graduated high school. Outside of having kids and getting married, one of the best years of my life. Because I had come to a point in my life where I was understanding the game of basketball on a deeper level. And for my team to be winning a championship, competing for a championship the year that I graduated high school, absolute dream. Absolute dream, man. I will never, ever forget that. The Spurs Pistons series. Really? That is surprising. Let me finish. It pissed me off, but that was the greatest final series I've seen in my life. Wow. Talk about a phantom of darkness. I don't think I've ever heard anybody in my life, and this is not a slight to you at all. This is just very surprising. I've never heard anybody say that before, who's a Pistons fan. Let's talk about it for a second. So Pistons went down 2-0 in that series to start. And Phantom of Darkness, chime in, bro, if you want, because this is your comment. The first game of that series, the Pistons jumped out to like a 17-4 run or 17-4 score in game 1. They just came and hit the Spurs in the mouth in game 1. I'm like, this is gonna be another 5-game sweep. That's what I was literally thinking, because to that point, the Spurs hadn't lost a championship yet. right? They had won in 99 when they beat the Knicks, and they won in 03 when they beat the Nets, right? So they hadn't lost the championship yet with that regime, with that iteration of that team, with the Tim Duncan, Greg Popovich-led Spurs. So I was thinking to myself, we're about to beat these guys. We're about to beat these boys. I was literally thinking that. And then they end up coming back. They win game 1. They win game 2. And I'm thinking, okay, this is not looking good. Game 3, the Pistons respond at home because the Spurs had home court advantage. And I think that was the difference. That was the difference. That was the difference in that series. Because when the Pistons won game 3 and we're down 2-1, they also won game 4. And they had 3 games at home. They had 2, it was a 2-3-2 format. So the first 2 games was in San Antonio. The next 3 were in Detroit. The last 2 were in San Antonio. Pistons tied it up in their second or third home games, 2-2. Game 5 was the last Pistons home game, and I knew they had to win that game if they were going to win the series because I knew they weren't going to win this. They weren't going to win 2 in San Antonio. They weren't going to win 2. I knew they weren't going to win 2 based on the first 2 games of the series. And so when we lost game 5, I didn't feel good about winning the series. I thought it may be over. And we know the story. The Pistons were up 1, or they were up 2. With a few seconds left, Spurs had the ball. In the timeout, Larry Brown tells everybody, don't double. Stay home. Don't double. Do not double. Pass goes into Ginobili. Rasheed Wallace comes off of Robert Horry, of all people, in doubles. Tries to cause turnover. Tayshaun, who was guarding Ginobili, was probably trying to figure out what she was doing and tries to switch out to Sheed's guy, who was Robert Horry, and just by this much is unable to block the shot. This much air was in between Tayshaun Prince's fingertips and the ball. And the way the shot went in, it rattled in. It was so unlikely of a play. It was so unlikely of a play. And we lost that game by 1 point. Next play, Richard Hamilton gets the ball in. He gets up a bad shot from the free throw line. It doesn't hit rim, and it's game's over. It was really, really hard to watch. Game 6, to wrap this up, Chauncey Billups looks like the finals MVP of the series, and he wills the Pistons to that win in game 6. It was a nip and tuck game. This is all up top, by the way. I remember all this stuff off top. And he was not going to let the Pistons lose that game. He was not going to let it happen. And so the Pistons won game 6. Game 7, nip tuck all game. Nip tuck, back and forth, lead change. And down the stretch, for whatever reason, Coach Larry Brown decides he wants to put Tayshaun Prince on Tim Duncan. And Tim Duncan scores about 6 to 8 straight points. And that pretty much sealed the game. I would have rather have seen someone else, like an Eldon Campbell or somebody, get an opportunity to guard Tim Duncan straight up. But it didn't happen. Pistons lose 81-74. Game's over. It's funny you say that because, Phantom, that was actually the worst moment for me in NBA Pistons history. It was worse than the Phantom foul on Kareem on Lambeer on Kareem in 88 when they should have won that finals, when Isaiah broke his ankle and put up 25 straight points in the third quarter. It was worse than that. So to hear you say that, taking myself out of it, I understand why you say that. Because you must be a basketball purist, because that was one of the lowest rated NBA finals in history because it wasn't flashy. It was just good basketball being played. Good, solid basketball. Chess pieces being placed, right? It really just came down to who can execute better. Who can execute better? It was the best of the best. Larry Brown versus Popovich, right? Pistons team, San Antonio team. It was literally who can out-execute the other team when it mattered most. And the Spurs just made a few more plays. Worst moment of my life, of my Pistons life, man. All right. Good one, though. Okay, who else we got? Andre. 007. Vinny Johnson versus... Ooh-wee. Okay, let's talk about this, because I remember this as well. And I used to watch this, Andre, religiously. I used to watch this game 5 of the NBA Finals in 1990 religiously. I remember when Terry Porter and Clyde Drexler were saying that they were going back to the crib, going back to Portland, and never coming back to Detroit because they were going to win in Portland. They had one thing right. They never came back to Detroit. because Detroit won all the games in Portland. So yeah, that was a great series, man. Isaiah Thomas was a beast. That was the year Joe Dumars actually lost his father. The previous year, the first championship, Joe Dumars actually won the Finals MVP. The following year, he lost his father, and you could tell he wasn't himself. And Isaiah really picked up and carried the load in that series. He was the reason by far that they won that series. Bill Laimbeer, the original James Edwards, Mark Aguirre, Dennis Rodman, all those guys, man. John Sally, that was a great team. That was a really good team. And the Pistons were down 82-90 with 2 minutes left in that deciding game. They were down 8 points with 2 minutes to go on the road. I remember Jerome Kersey made a great pass to Buck Williams for a dunk to put them up 8. And the Pistons called timeout. Portland went crazy. And watching that for the first time, I'm like, oh, game over. See you guys in Detroit. As a little 3 or 4 year old, we're going to make it back to Detroit. And the Pistons went on a run. Isaiah Thomas hit the first shot. Vinnie Johnson hit the next 4, I believe. Shot after shot after shot. That is when, in my mind, he became the microwave. That is when he became the microwave. That game. And he hit a shot. I'll never forget it. It was tied. I think it was tied 90-90. And the Pistons had the ball. And before that, the Trailblazers had some good looks. A lot of shots just rattled out. They didn't fall. They rattled out, and they just couldn't get them to fall. And they turned the ball over, and Pistons just played really sound defense. But in that last shot, with the game tied, Pistons had the ball. Isaiah brings it up court. He initiates, and he gets the ball to Vinnie Johnson with about 7 seconds left. Vinnie Johnson has the ball at the elbow, 3-point line. He looks at the opposite shot clock to see how much time is left. He's got a bigger Jerome Kersey guarding him. I don't know why he was even guarding him. Jerome Kersey was a big, strong power forward. I don't even know how he got switched on him. But Vinny does one jab step, dribble, and he pulls up, swish. It was stream music. It didn't touch any part of the rim. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful shot. I don't even know how he made that shot. Beautiful. And 007, the 007 guys, that's how much time was left when he made the shot. That's why he said 007. 0.07 seconds was left on the clock. And the game wasn't over. The Blazers actually got a great shot off. Terry Porter had a shot open in the corner that had it been maybe an inch or two further with more push on it, would have went in. It was a great shot, just didn't fall. But that was a great series, Andre. Great game, great moment. Devin said the block, and I think this is what Dante's saying too. Pistons versus Pacers. And it's funny you guys mentioned this. So it's so funny how that block, everybody talks about the LeBron James block on Iguodala, but the original block, which looks ever so similar to that block, was a Tayshaun block on Reggie Miller. I, to this day, do not know how he tracked that down without goaltending. I do not know how he did that. It's crazy because when Reggie stole the ball, when Jamal Tinsley stole the ball from Chauncey, and Reggie's pushing the ball up court, you don't even see Tayshaun in the frame. He's not even there. And this is the game. This is game 2. This is the game where Rasheed Wallace said, put it in the papers, put it in the front of the page, put it in the back of the page, put it in the middle of the page. We will win game 2. So imagine what he's thinking, because the game was tied at that point. Imagine what he's thinking when Chauncey turns it over, when he gets stripped by Tinsley, and Tinsley pushes the ball to Reggie Miller. What is he thinking in that moment? I got to eat crow. You know? But I bet that he took out Tayshaun for a nice dinner after that night, because Tayshaun made the block of the decade. Block of the decade, man. I still do not know how he tracked that down. And that was the play that saved that game. And the Pistons went on to win that series in 6 games. Had they lost that game, they'd have been down 1-2. And the Pacers, who had the best record in the league that season, had home court advantage. So that one block, that's why that block is so important, because it affected potentially the entire outcome of the rest of that series. Great moment, guys. Dante and Devin. Great moment. Brandon says off top, series against the Cavs, very competitive, and when Blake dropped 50 on the Sixers. Okay, yeah, nice. So the series against the Cavs, I think you're referring to 2016? Or are you talking about 2007? I think you mean 2016 when the Pistons got swept. It was a close sweep. Each game was close. So you're talking about the Reggie Jackson, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Marcus Morris, Tobias Harris, Andre Drummond. That team, right? That was a good series. And after that series is when I thought that the Cavaliers were going to win. Even though that was the same year that the Golden State Warriors won 72 games, I just felt the way the Cavs played on both ends of the court. They weren't as good offensively as the Golden State Warriors because they were just a juggernaut offensively. But the way they played defense when they needed to, the way they shut the Pistons down when they needed to, that's when I thought, yeah, they're probably going to win it all. And they did. And it wasn't what we thought, but they did. So, yeah, good moment. I vaguely remember a game against the Knicks a while ago that I think went to like 4 overtime. Oh, that was okay. Yeah, that was a while ago though. I don't think that was recent. Was that the Bulls? I remember about 10 years ago. I think it was 2016, Brandon, when they went to 4 overtimes against the Bulls, and they won that game. I remember that game. That was a crazy game. I think that was 20. Maybe it was 2013, 2014. If that's not what you're talking about, remind me what you're talking about. But I remember that game too, as far as with the Pistons playing the Bulls, going to 4 overtimes and still winning that game. That was insane. I missed the defensive battles of those times, and Pistons were a mirror for each other, and the Pistons had a depleted bench, and they still had, yeah, man. Exactly. So, Phantom of Darkness. Had the Pistons had the 04 team in 05, they don't lose to the Spurs. They do not lose to the Spurs. In 05, the Pistons had lost Corliss Williamson, right? And they lost Mike James. And they lost Mehmet Okur, right? Imagine Mehmet Okur guarding Tim Duncan in the fourth quarter instead of Tayshaun Prince. It's a little bit different. Imagine Timmy having to guard Mehmet Okur, who could stretch the floor. Now you got Ben Wallace under the hoop with Nazim Muhammad trying to grab rebounds instead of Tim Duncan and, you know what I mean? So the depth, to your point, is exactly why the Pistons lost that series. You can point to the Rasheed Wallace play in the Robert Horry 3, but leading up to that, had they had the depth, I think off the bench, the only players they really used in that final series were Antonio McDyess and Lindsey Hunter, right? Because we lost Mehmet Okur, so we had to replace him in some way, shape, or form. And McDyess was good. He was solid, but he wasn't the McDyess of Denver, the all-star Antonio McDyess, right? He had the knee surgery, and at that point, he became a mid-range assassin, right? He wasn't a high flyer. He didn't have the athleticism. He just wasn't the same player, but he was good. But yeah, I do think had we had the depth, we definitely could have went back to back. We should have went back to back. It still hurts me that our teams did not go back to back twice because they should have. They should have. And Portland was one of them. Yeah, for sure, Broderick. Yeah, we just talked about that for sure. That was incredible. The way that's what I call a 2-minute drill. That's a 2-minute drill, right? The way they shut down the Portland Trailblazers and went on that 8-0, 10-0 run to win that game by 2 points after being down by 8 with 2 minutes left. Crazy. Deuce is about to be loose. Yes, he is, bro. He about to have fun. Bro. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does. I think he's gonna be super aggressive. I think the previous version of Cade would have came out, being passive, getting guys involved. I think he's gonna come out and try to make a statement in this game. I really think he is, and I think he's gonna try to make sure his team wins. I really do. It's gonna be fun to watch, man. I saw Vinny Johnson in the club, and he was built like Mike Tyson. That's a big dude, man. That's a big dude, bro. I think he's 6'3". 6'3". He's 6'3" or 6'4". He's closer to Joe Dumars' side. I think Joe Dumars is 6'3". Joe is 6'4". Joe is 6'4". I think Vinny is 6'3". He's a big guy, man. But he's athletic, too. In that game, Broderick, against the Portland Trailblazers, when the Pistons were down 8 and they're making their way back, Vinny actually got tied up by one of the Portland's defenders. Jump ball. And it was a guy that was taller than him, a guard that was taller than him. But he had buddies. He went up and got that jump ball. Surprisingly, I didn't know he was athletic until I saw that play. But Vinny Johnson was a tank, man. Really good player. I want to say, though, The worst moment as a Pistons fan was when Chauncey was traded. Wrong player to trade. And especially seeing what he did when he went to Denver just had me feeling wrong. Yeah, it just didn't feel right. The messed up part is that he didn't even know. Chauncey didn't even know, man. That's the messed up part. He didn't even know he was getting traded. And he has said that in different interviews, that he didn't even realize it. And even though we got Allen Iverson, I wasn't really happy. Would Allen Iverson beat Chauncey in a one-on-one game? Maybe, probably at that point in his career, probably still. He was older in 2009. He was older, right? But he was still AI, still an all-star. But the team was not nearly the same. I remember watching 2 or 3 games in with Iverson here and knowing right away that we were not going to be this. We were not going to be as good as we were. You could just see he just didn't fit. His ISO game just didn't fit with the team offense that the Pistons ran. And defensively, he struggled because not only was he not the biggest guy, he also had lost some athleticism at that point. So the way he played passing lanes wasn't as effective. It was times he would play passing lanes, and the previous AI would have got a steal for a layup. But the 09 version that with the Pistons would gamble and miss the pass, and now we're at a mismatch because they have a 4-on-3 or a 2-on-1, right? Or a 5-on-4. So it was just a different time for him. We caught him at the wrong time. The Pistons too often in the past brought in superstars when they were no longer in their prime. We saw it happen over and over again with Iverson, Antonio McDyess, Chris Webber, Tracy McGrady, Derrick Rose, Blake Griffin. I mean, we always were that team to do that. And it's because I think the Pistons felt that they knew they weren't a destination. And so they had to overpay guys who were out of the prime or trade away assets that they shouldn't be trading for a guy who's no longer in their prime. And it just continued to happen over and over and over again. And we were stuck in purgatory because we had a guy that was a borderline star player on our team that we had now, but the rest of the team was not that great because we traded away all these assets to get him. So we had this one guy trying to carry this team to the playoffs, barely missing or barely getting to the playoffs and being a first-round exit. That's why the Pistons haven't won a playoff game since 2008 against the Boston Celtics that was our last Eastern Conference Finals. When the Celtics won a championship. That was the last time we have won a playoff game. That's it. Between 08 and 2009, when we got Iverson, we got swept by the Cavaliers. In 2016, we got swept again by the Cavaliers. With Blake Griffin, we got swept by the Bucks. And here we are. So, and the reason for that is because the Pistons had aging stars who were trying to carry a team that wasn't great, that was depleted, to the playoffs. And when you just get into the playoffs, that's going to mean you're not going to have a lottery pick. So you're drafting middle of the road players, not really impactful players unless you strike gold. And you're repeating the process over and over and over again. You either got to be really good or really bad if you want to be successful, long-term or short-term. You can't be in the middle forever. And that's what the Pistons were. Yeah, man. Good stuff, man. It was a game in 2006 against the Knicks. I just Googled it. Wow. I might have to watch that one later on tonight, Brandon. I don't remember that game. 151 to 140. Who was on that team in 2006? I'm talking about the Knicks. Because 2006, that was for the Pistons, that was the year. You know what? That final score makes sense. Because that year, the Pistons had their greatest record in the history of their team. 64 and 18. I think the previous record was held by the 89 Pistons, who were 63 and 19. Flip Saunders was a coach. This was after the Spurs Pistons heartbreaking finals. 64 and 18. That was the year the Pistons had 4 All-Stars. And best record in the league. Best offense in the league, which was interesting and kind of didn't make me feel the greatest because we were a defensive team. So it was interesting to see. It didn't really feel the greatest. But I don't remember that game, Brandon. I'm going to check that game. Who was there in 2006? Was Melo there? No, he wasn't there yet, was he? He wasn't there yet. He was still with Denver. 2006. Was Amari Stoudemire there? I don't remember. I'm going to go back and check that out, bro. That's a good one. That's a good one. Dennis Rodman versus Chicago Bulls. Game 4, 1990 East Finals. 20 points, 20 rebounds. 10 offensive. Now you're talking, Dante. That's what I'm talking about, bro. That's a good one. I don't remember the details of that game. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't remember the details of that game. But that sounds like Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman was insane. I think he had one game where he put up 38 boards. 38 in the game. That's like Wilt Chamberlain type stuff. And for him to be 6'7" and not 7'1", 7'2" like Wilt, absolutely insane. Dennis Rodman's timing and anticipation and understanding how the ball is going to roll off the rim. He talks about that. He studied how the ball rolled off the rim, the science of it, so that he could position himself based on where the ball hit the glass or hit the rim to know where it was going. That's why he was able to get rebounds against bigger guys, because guys will be in position, but they'd be in the wrong position. They would think they have him sealed, but they have him sealed on the wrong side of the rim because he could see the ball's going to go on the other side. Dennis Rodman was insane. Dennis Rodman was absolutely insane, man. Great player for this team. I see a little bit of Asar in Dennis Rodman. I think Asar obviously has more of an offensive bag, right? But as far as just being able to do the intangibles, long, wiry, super athletic, can jump out the gym, fast as a gazelle down the court, just making impact plays. I see a lot of that with Asar Thompson as far as his defensive ability. Playing bigger than you are, going up for boards, that's Asar Thompson. You know? So I see a lot of him in Dennis Rodman. Our traded players shining on other teams. Yeah, right. That's one of the worst things too. Don't remind me of Chris Middleton. Tracy McGrady, that was another one. Yeah, that was another guy. I think I mentioned Tracy, but yeah. Speaking of Tracy, remember that 3-1 series when the Pistons came back in 2003 to beat the Orlando Magic? When T-Mac said after they went up 3-1 on the Pistons that he was looking forward to going to the second round and never got there because the Pistons won 3 straight. And it's crazy because that was the first year in 2003. That was the first year the Pistons actually caught a break. That was the first year that the NBA playoff format went back to 7 games in the first round. Before that, it was 5 games. So had that been 1 year prior, the Pistons would have lost that series 3-1. But because they went to 7 games that year, the Pistons had a chance to come back and win that series, and they did. Crazy stuff. I remember that game because Rip shot a bunch of free throws, but for some reason I only remember Jared Jeffries. Jared Jeffries. Wow, that's something I haven't heard in a long time. Interesting. I'm gonna take that game out, Brennan. That's interesting, man. They cheated us in LA, Rodman, or we would have 3 people. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely, man. There's so many things went wrong. And honestly, the Pistons could have won. They could have won 4 straight. Think about it. Because in '88, that was the series that went 7 games against the Lakers. That was the phantom foul on Bill Laimbeer on Kareem when he didn't get fouled. That was also the same series when Isaiah Thomas broke his ankle. All those things happened in the same series. And I believe they should have won. They were up 3-2 in that series. They were up 3-2 in that series, and they were rolling. And Isaiah got hurt. That's why he was trying to put that. Isaiah was trying to put that game away because he knew he wouldn't be the same player in Game 7. He knew his ankle was pretty much broken, and he knew I gotta put this game away for us now while my ankle is still warm. Because once it tightens up, I'm done. That's why in Game 7 of that series he was rendered ineffective. That's why, because his ankle got cold. It doesn't matter how much you elevate it. At that point, you can't really put pressure on it the way you want to. That's why he didn't look that great in Game 7. But in Game 6, when he had some mobility still, he was trying to get that game. That's why he put up that stat line. That's why he went crazy like that. It's because he was desperate to put that team away then. And had he not gotten hurt, they probably would have. So, and before that, in '87, that's the steal by Bird year in the conference finals. That's the year the Pistons should have played the Lakers for the first time. In '87, right? In '87, the Lakers won the championship. And I believe they won 80. Yeah, they won 87 to 88 because the Celtics won 86. The Celtics were one of the best teams ever, 86. 87 to 88, the Lakers went back to back. In 89, 90, Pistons went back to back. So, yeah, man, the Pistons had a chance to win 4 straight. If Isaiah does not throw that pass to Bird in '87, they win that series. If Isaiah doesn't break his ankle in 88, they win that series. And then you know what happened in 89 and 90. So coulda, woulda, shoulda, right? It's just cool to go down memory lane sometimes and talk about what could have been. But we also get a chance now to talk about what will be in the future. And that's exciting. Nate Robinson and Stephon Marbury was on that New York team. Okay, there we go. Okay, got you. So that makes sense. So Nate Robinson, when he was winning those back-to-back dunk contests and all that stuff, that was around that time. Starbury was a beast. Who remembers that game in 2001, the All-Star game? A competitive All-Star game, one of the last competitive All-Star games that I can remember, when Marbury and Iverson were going up against I think it was Steve Francis, and they were just going shot for shot, back and forth. I think the East won that game. That was the year Iverson won the MVP of the All-Star game. I think that was 2001, the same year that Iverson took the Philadelphia Sixers to the finals against the Lakers. Have we had that Iverson in 2009? Have we had that Iverson in 2001? I feel a little bit better about that trade, but that's 8 years later. But but Stephon Marbury was a beast, absolute beast. He doesn't get enough credit, man. He was a monster. He was a monster. People forget how good he was. Maybe if Zeke didn't make that, Roger, that's the point. If he doesn't make that pass, it's a totally different situation. Because right before that play, the Pistons had turned the Celtics over. I believe, Dennis Rodman and Rick Mahorn. No, Dennis Rodman blocked Larry Bird's shot that would have put the Celtics up 1 in that situation before the turnover. Dennis Rodman blocked it, hit off the backboard, hit it out of bounds, and Rick Mahorn knocks the ball off of Larry Bird and it goes out of bounds. Pistons are going crazy, celebrating. They think the game is over. It's like 2 seconds left on the clock or 3 seconds on the clock. Isaiah's trying to get the ball in so they can get the game over with. And he doesn't see Larry Bird creeping. And that's just a credit to Larry Bird. Because in that moment, when you get your shot blocked like that and then you get it knocked off of you, you could just be so distraught in that moment. Like, I can't believe that just happened. But he stayed alert. He knew the game wasn't over yet. It's still time on the clock. That's a credit to how good Larry Bird was. Larry Bird was incredible, man. I got a chance to watch him a little bit as well. He was incredible. Incredible. People always say that, Magic is better than Bird. I understand it, but I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know if I agree, man. As an all-around player, Magic was a better passer. But I don't know if he did anything else really better than Bird. What do you guys think? Other than passing. And Bird was a great passer too. That's the crazy part. But other than passing, what would you say Magic Johnson, it's a little off topic here, but we're talking, right? Other than passing, what would you say Magic was better than Larry at? He wasn't a better rebounder, wasn't a better shooter, wasn't really a better defender. He's got 5 rings to Larry's 3, right? He beat Larry more times in the finals head up, but he also had Kareem and James Worthy, who also won a finals MVP in 88. What did Larry do better than Magic other than passing? And I love both of those guys. I just think it's a good conversation. Because Larry Bird, I think, gets overlooked way too much. When he beat Doc in the finals without Kareem. Okay. When he beat the Sixers, right? When he beat Moses Malone and Dr. J and Maurice Cheeks and all those guys, yeah. I'll give you that. Okay, so are you saying, Broderick, that he could play more positions? Because if so, I'll give you that. But I'm just saying player to player, though. Player to player, I don't know, man. I tend to think that Larry was better player to player. I think you could put Larry in any system and he's going to be effective. I don't think you can put Magic in a half-court system and he can be as effective as he was. You know what I mean? We already know that was the West Coast show. That's what the Lake show did. They were run a gun. They were fast break. And that's what Magic was, the best player in the game at that point in the late 80s. Right? But other than that, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a good conversation to have. It's tough. Any other moments? We're going to call it soon. But this has been very, very enjoyable. I know we started off talking about Cade, and rightfully so. It's good that he's getting this opportunity, man. I'm really, really, really happy for him and his family, man. This has been an incredible journey for him, for us, for everybody. Phantom of Darkness says, one of my bigger what-ifs in Pistons history. What happens if Brandon Jennings doesn't get injured? Man, that Achilles injury killed me, man, because the Pistons were playing so well. I think that injury happened right after Brandon Jennings hit the game winner against the Spurs, right? For their 6th straight win. The Pistons had a chance this season to tie that record. The Pistons have not won 6 straight games since Brandon Jennings hit that shot in the Spurs. That's the last time. That was 2015, guys. That's the last time. The Pistons shouldn't even have won that game. They were down by 1 point, and the Spurs were inbounding the ball on their side of the court. Not under their hoop, but past half court. And Tim Duncan had a miscommunication with whoever the guard was, and they turned it over with like 7 seconds left. Brandon Jennings is heads up. He gets the ball to him, runs down the court, puts a floater up off the glass. It goes in, and they win. They were not supposed to win that game. That was on the road, too. That was a road game. That's why you see him looking so crazy, because he couldn't believe that they actually won that game. It was so unlikely. But that was the last time that we saw prime Brandon Jennings. Him and Andre Drummond had a different kind of connection. I liked Reggie Jackson with the pick-and-roll offense, but I felt Brandon Jennings got the best out of Andre Drummond because he was always looking for him. We talk about Beasley giving Cade confidence up here, just giving him confidence. Brandon Jennings gave Drummond confidence on the court. I feel like Reggie Jackson, he would when it was convenient. He would when he didn't have his own shot. Then he would look for Dre. But in the pick and roll, he was looking more for his own offense than he was looking for Dre or shooters. And I think that's the difference with Brandon Jennings, is that Jennings was looking to get guys involved. He was looking to get guys involved. And he was so fun to watch, man. He was so fun to watch. That's tragic. That's a good moment, Phantom Darkness. That's a good moment. Man, if he doesn't get hurt, Pistons would have made the playoffs a few more times, for sure. I got a question. On the all-time list of all Pistons point guards, do you think when Kate walks away from basketball, do you think he'll be on that list? Yeah. Yes. So, all-time Pistons point guards? Honestly, to be honest with you guys, the list isn't that stout, to be honest. It's top-heavy, but it's not deep. You got your Isaiah Thomas. You could call Grant Hill a point guard. He was a point forward. I mean, Lindsey was really the point guard in that team at that point. So I don't really want to call even Grant Hill a point guard. But Chauncey Billups, Isaiah Thomas, Brandon Jennings, Reggie Jackson, Derrick Rose, Dave Bing. Gotta say Dave Bing. Dave Bing was a really good player, y'all. He was an all-star. Can't forget about Dave Bing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Dave Bing, right. Dave Bing. Yes, exactly, 100%. 100%. I would say, man. So let me say this. Isaiah Thomas is my favorite player. Him and Penny Hardaway are my favorite players of all time. Penny and Zeke is those two for me. So I'm just saying that because I want to be careful, because Cade is so early in his career, and he's so far away from being at the end. He's so far away from being at the end. But we just talked about how many All-Star appearances we see him getting. So I think, barring injury, when it's all said and done, he can challenge not only Chauncey, but Isaiah for best Pistons point guard. Now, there's a lot he has to do. There's a lot that he has to do. Brandon, you're silly for that. Dwight Bikes. I haven't heard that name in forever. DJ Augustine and Dwight Bikes. But yeah. Oh, real quick, Brandon. Yes, that was the build the wall game. 100%. It was like it was like 7/10 of a second left or something like that. A second left in the clock. And he said, build an effing wall. That was that game. 100%. That was that game. Yep. Good call. He would have made the All-Star game for sure if he didn't get injured. He has so many 2020 games. Yeah, you're on it, Brandon. 100%. Yeah, he's on his way, bro. He's already sniffing, bro. But what I was saying is that Um, I'm not gonna say that yet. He does have a shot to be the best point guard ever, but he has to do a lot. Isaiah Thomas, man, he's at the top of that mountain. He is firm on top of that mountain. He is firmly on top of that mountain right now. And Chauncey is the second guy on that list. And then Chauncey or Dave Bing, whoever you want to say. But Chauncey has the Finals MVP. That's what I look at. I look at things like that. You know, Joe Dumars wasn't a point guard, so I can't put him in there, even though he does have a Finals MVP. But for me, it's Isaiah, far and away, and then Chauncey, Dave Bing, and everybody else. Everybody else. So that's a conversation we can have 10 years from now, right? We'll see where Cade is. But what that will mean is that Cade will have been here for a long period of time too, right? So hopefully the Pistons can make this worth his while by making him feel like he can continue to do what he wants to do, which is win. That's all he wants to do. That's all Cade wants to do is win. That's it. Doesn't matter how. He wants to be remembered when it's all said and done for winning, for championships. But 100%, Isaiah far and away, it's not even a question. Best point guard ever. Pistons guard ever. Point guard ever. Easily. It's not even close. It's not even close, man. Just from a talent standpoint, the things he was able to do with that size are ridiculous. Ridiculous. You look at the guys he's compared to, the Birds, the Magics, the MJs. All those guys have at least 5 or 6 inches on him. Zeke was 6'1", maybe, with shoes on. MJ 6'6". Magic is 6'9". Bird is 6'10". Zeke is 6'1", and he's mentioned among those guys. Incredible. And Zeke is the only one to beat all 3 of those guys in the playoffs. Magic didn't do it. Bird didn't do it. You know? MJ didn't do it. So Isaiah is the only guy to beat all 3 of those guys en route to winning championships. So in my mind, it's not even close. It's not even close, bro. Isaiah is that dude. He is that dude. And he gets forgotten about because of how long ago it was. But he was that guy, man. Incredible player. Zeke said they better be. Yeah, man. If Zeke was 6'6", it's over. It's over. But Broderick, that is why I think, as far as Cade is concerned, it's a conversation. Because Cade is 6'6". You see what I mean? He is 6'6". So that sheer size alone gives him a major advantage. It gives him an advantage as far as having mismatches, but also being able to prolong his career because he's big. He's bigger. So it's definitely a conversation that we can have. We can table it for now because of how early in his career he is. But down the line, we'll see where he's at. But had Zeke been 6'6", we're having a conversation about who's the best player ever. And I do not mean that tongue-in-cheek at all. He was that talented, y'all. For those who remember, you will not dispute me because you know. Chauncey Billups had a 6-4 record versus Michael Jordan. He's one of the only guys in history to have a winning record against MJ. That's insane. One game when Jordan was older, I think Chauncey was playing for the Celtics, and they were playing the Bulls. Chauncey, look it up, y'all. Look, Google or YouTube Chauncey Billups scoring Michael Jordan. There was a game where he had like 10 to 12 straight points, I believe, in a winning effort against MJ's Wizards. He just couldn't be stopped. He could not be stopped. He was getting bucket after bucket. It was crazy. But yeah, that is an interesting tidbit, Phantom of Darkness. A lot of guys can't say that. We all-time players, well, all-time. Oh, I know what you mean, yeah. Billups record throughout this, 24-21 versus Kobe. Wow, I didn't know that. Phantom of Darkness, you must be on Google. You must be bored. You going down the rabbit hole, bro? In 22-17 versus LeBron James. He's the only player in NBA history to register a winning record against all 3. Wow. Now that I didn't know. I'm going to fact check that. I'm not saying I don't believe you, but I'm going to fact check that for sure. That's interesting tidbit. Okay, all right, y'all. So it looks like, I had a feeling. I'm like, he don't know that off top. There's no way, bro. There's no way. But that's cool. You just taught me something new. I'm going to check that out for sure. No, I believe you. I'm messing with you. All right, y'all. So Marco Rolo said he want to talk about what's going on now. So we'll end it with this. We talked about it last stream. Let's do it again. Who do you guys believe the Pistons should pursue? Should they pursue anyone in free agency? Not free agency, but in the trade market. Should they pursue anybody? I have said before that I would like, depending on the longevity of Jaden's injury, right? How long he's going to be out, which we don't know yet. Depending on that, let's just say he's out for the rest of the season. Worst case scenario. CJ McCollum is who I want on this team. Levine is a great player, but that contract is ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. That's why he's still in Chicago, and he's been there for the last 3 or 4 years. When they've made him available, they still don't want to move off of him because that contract is just ridiculous. Doesn't make any sense. It's insane. So no on that. As a player, yeah, but contract-wise, nah. I'm straight on that. CJ McCollum is who I want. Because McCollum is a guy who can get buckets, and he's also a guy that when you need him to, can run the offense. I watched it time and time again when he played with Dame. He and Dame played a lot like how Zeke and Joe D played, right? Where you got two guards who are interchangeable, two guards who are combo guards, which makes you very unpredictable offensively, you know? And so he can run the offense for you as well as get buckets. And he's a really good shooter. He's a class act. He's a smart player. He's a good locker room guy. That's the kind of guy I want on this team. If we're going to be without Jaden for the rest of the season, I think that's the guy who could really help Cade. Because the biggest thing we've seen, and it's glaringly obvious now, we all talk about it, is we're seeing teams blitz Cade now because he's the only ball handler on the court most of the time. When he's on the court, you have Beasley. He's not a ball handler. He's not a creator. He can create, but he's not a creator. We didn't bring him here to create, right? So having a guy like McCollum can take so much pressure off of Cade. And he can space the floor. And he's smart. And he's a veteran. And he's been in the playoffs before. That's the major thing. He's been to the playoffs before. That's what I want. I want vets who have been to the playoffs. Tobias has been there. Hasn't been great, but he's been there. Malik Beasley's been there with the Bucks. Right? So these guys have been there before, and that's what I like. Tim Hardaway Jr. was in the finals last year. He didn't play, but he was in that atmosphere. He lived it. So that's what I like. So a guy like McCollum is who I would definitely want to go after. CJ McCollum, or convince Quick Ash Ish Smith to come back out of retirement. He can facilitate. I haven't watched Ish Smith lately. I know he's getting a little bit older, so I don't know how quick he still is, Broderick. If I'm wrong on that, you can let me know. But I haven't watched him lately. But that's what predicates his game, is his speed. And as he gets older, it's going to be harder for him to keep that up. If he still has it, I'm not mad at that. But I also want a guy who can still score the ball too. I want a combo guy. I want a combo guard. Because K can also be a combo guard if you need to be. If you get a pure point guard, you can get K. I mean, I don't want to, but I'd rather have a guy that can kind of balance it out a little bit. Maybe not 50-50, but like 60-40. Let K handle 60% of the time. Let another guy handle 40% of the time. But I want a guy who can do both as far as facilitate and score. Not just one or the other. Because that's what we have right now. We got guys who strictly can shoot and not guys who can take pressure off of him with handling the ball. I'm not mad at going after Levine when Jaden's out, but when he comes back, it kind of creates 100% an issue. Levine is a really good player, but it's the contract. I like CJ, but I think he's the one that's realistic. 100%. And all those reasons exactly are why you outlined why I want a CJ. Because when you bring Jaden back, I am not putting him on the bench. I'm not making him a six man. No way. Absolutely not. Because he's the perfect kind of player that Cade needs. A scorer who can also facilitate. Who's going to get better at both. This is only year 3 for him. He's going to get better and better and better at it. But he's already doing a good job already with it. So I want a kind of guy who can do both, who can do a lot of the things that Jaden can do, right? It's hard to find a Jaden Ivey in the league. It's hard because even McCollum can't get downhill like Jaden can. And with Jaden shooting 40% from 3 this year, he's doing everything. So you're not going to just find a Jaden Ivey on the street and plug and play. You got to find whatever you can that is closest to that. Even Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine, I don't think he can run the offense. He's a great scorer. He can get a bucket. True. He can get a bucket. But who can help take the ball out of Cade's hands and just give him a break and say, here, inball the ball. Here, you go. You know, that's what I'm looking for. CJ can do that. Marcus Smart can do that. That's another guy to look at. We talk about Lonzo Ball. He can do that. But he's more of a guy who I'm looking at off the bench because Lonzo Ball, I don't want him playing 30 minutes a game because it's unrealistic to think that he's been injured everywhere else and is going to magically come here and just be and have no injuries. That's not realistic. It's not. So if you overplay him, he's probably going to get hurt again. And so I want him in a backup role. 15 minutes off the bench. Let Cade play 33 minutes a night, 33 to 35 minutes a night. Be fresh for the fourth quarter, and he can do his thing. Take over the game, get you home. That's what I want. So if I can get CJ, I'm doing it without a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. I'm not thinking twice. Absolutely. Let's see. We'll do a few more and we get out of here. After all Jaden went through last year and with the injury this year, it would just be flat out done wrong by him to make him a super bench player by going, yes, it wouldn't make any sense. It wouldn't make any sense. Why would you do that to him? He didn't make any fuss last year. When he was benched for Killian Hayes, he didn't make any fuss. He just continued to work until he got the spot back. He waited for the executives to tell coach to put him back in the start. And it was crazy. It was so many people in the media, ex-players, ex-coaches. The one that comes to mind is Avery Johnson, who played for the Spurs in the 90s and who coached the Dallas Mavericks in the 2000s. He said when he was asked by someone, I think it was NBA TV, they asked him, what should the Pistons do to turn this around and snap the streak? And the first thing out of Avery Johnson's mouth was, well, put Jaden Ivey back in the lineup. First thing he said. So everybody knew. Everybody knew. And Jaden still didn't make any fuss. He didn't make any fuss, man. He is a low. He doesn't have any baggage. No baggage whatsoever. So that's another reason why you have to reward him for that. He's earned that. Injury's not his fault. We saw what Cole Anthony did. Before that, he was playing the best basketball of his life. Just 40 games in with a new coach. Imagine what he can do when he has enough time. It's been unfortunate, yeah. He got benched, yeah. He got hurt this year, yeah. So what? So what? Give him more time. Give him more reps. You saw him getting better and better and better as the season progressed. His efficiency was getting better. His shooting has improved. His defense is improving. You see all around he's getting better as a player. Yeah, 100%. There's no way I am getting anybody who I think is going to want to be a starting shooting guard after this season. And that's why I want a guy like CJ McCollum on his team. He can help a lot. Could a lot. That's why I want to see. Yes, 100%. I heard somewhere that if the Spurs make a move for Fox, and the Pistons could be a third team to facilitate a deal. What you think about potentially trying to grab CP3? I will say, okay, that's a really good question, Brandon, because I've heard that CP3 can be very polarizing. On the court, he makes every team better. Whether it's the Hornets when they were the Hornets, the Pelicans when they became the Pelicans, Lob City, LA, Clippers, even the Thunder. He took the Thunder to the playoffs when a young Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was there. Took them to the playoffs when they hadn't been there since KD and Russ were there. So, and now you see, he's got the Spurs on track. He had the Rockets nearly beating the 73-9 Golden State Warriors. If James Harden doesn't get hurt, well, that wasn't that team. I think that was the year after when KD was there. When KD was there, who could argue was a better Golden State team than the 73-9 team. If CP3 doesn't pull that hamstring when they're up 3-2, he pulls his hamstring. If that doesn't happen, they win that series. James Harden may have a ring. A lot could change just with that. So everywhere and now with the Spurs. So everywhere that he's been on the court, he has elevated and raised that team's floor and its ceiling. Both. But off the court, I hear a lot of guys don't really mesh well with him. And that's what I'm concerned about. I don't know if you bring him here, if he is going to allow Cade to be the guy. Maybe he will because now he's in the twilight of his career. And maybe he will just be here to really help Cade and teach Cade the game. That will be a plus. He can really teach Cade a lot of the tricks of the trade. I just worry about the chemistry with the rest of the guys. But if the opportunity is there, if he's willing to be a bench player, that's the thing. I don't think he's gonna want to come here and be a bench guy for a team that's not contending right now. I think he thinks that this team can elevate quickly because of Wemby, if they have him. I think with his presence there, he probably thinks he can help elevate that team quickly and have a last shot at a ring. Oh, I forgot about Phoenix. He went to the finals with Phoenix. So everywhere he goes, he elevates these teams. But I would probably do it. Honestly, I would probably do it. Because I think this team now there's no question who numero uno is. So he would just have to just get in line and be more of a mentor to Cade. Pretty much a Jared Jack on the court. Because Jared Jack has really been a mentor for Cade as a guard. He's taught him a lot. You can see they're always talking to each other on the bench, all that stuff. So I wouldn't mind that. Because he would probably help this team grow up some. I would just hope that he would not be an issue in the locker room. All right, a few more. We out of here, y'all. Yep. Ivy, God-fearing young man full of... Yeah, bro, there's nothing to dislike about him. There's so much to like about him, man. I'm very confident in he and Cade being an all-star level backcourt the way that Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell are right now. I see it. 100%. And I think they can push to even possibly be better than those guys combined. Because I think Ivy can be better than Garland. I do. He's already bigger and stronger and faster. If everything else catches up, Donovan Mitchell and Cade may be a wash, right? Because D. Mitchell is a monster. He's a monster. In my opinion, he's an MVP level candidate. MVP candidate this year. Best player in the best team? Yeah, for sure. CJ or Lonzo Ball? It just depends. I think CJ would be more of a starter, and Lonzo would be more of a bench guy. If you can get both, man, but what are you giving up, right? If I could pick one, I would probably take CJ because he's a better player. And what you could do is we talked about having a guy that is similar to J.I., right? Is probably as close as you're going to find to J.I., a guy who can move to the one after playing the two. You can stagger with CJ and Cade, right? You can stagger the way you do with J.I. You can have CJ at the two with Cade at the one to start, let Cade sit down, move CJ to the one, and put BZ at the two and go from there. So because of that, I would take CJ. He's a better player and he's more durable. And you can do more with him as far as lineups. Good question though, Dante. Whenever he's been traded or moved to a rebuilding team, he's helped elevate. Yes, CP3, 100%. Yep, maybe he can at least teach Cade how to fight. Right. Yeah, Cade's he's been getting more respect, a little bit more respect lately because of what's the media and all that stuff, but he's still not getting a fair whistle, in my opinion. Maybe he can at least, CJ can definitely help scoring, but that's all. I disagree with that, Michael. I definitely think he can. I saw him do that time and time again with Portland for years. That's what they did. They played off each other all the time. So that's what I would do. That's just me though. Trade LeBron for first. Yeah, okay, you're right. Yeah, because the Lakers are definitely only going to get a first pick for that, right? Yes, we are live, but we're about to be done. Yeah, man, this has been fun. Y'all. I want to top this off by saying that, congrats to Cade and his family. First All-Star selection, first of many. I have him with at least 10 plus All-Star selections by the time he's all said and done. And I also have Cade winning multiple gold medals. I wanted to mention that too. I think he's going to be on the next team in 2028. And I think he's also going to be in the team in 2032. I think he's going to have multiple gold medals under his belt when it's all said and done. And I think he may even end up being one of the faces of Team USA because of how he carries himself, because of the look, because of the way he carries himself, the way he talks. He's a very well-rounded basketball player in presence. You know what I mean? He's a very well-rounded presence. And that's why a lot of guys like Ja, who I love, Grant Hill, who has the decision of picking that team, him and others, they look for certain guys They look for certain qualities. They look for guys who are low maintenance, no baggage, represent our country the right way. That's what they look for. And that is exactly what Cade is, right? He is the ultimate Team USA kind of player. He just fits. He plays winning basketball. When you're playing against teams overseas, you got to play that way. You got to play team basketball, especially now that the world is starting to catch up a little bit. They haven't caught up yet, but now that they're starting to get better, it's not like how it was in Barcelona in 92 when they were smacking these teams by 60, 70 points and they were asking them to take pictures with the USA players after the game. This is a different time now. Different time now, much more competitive. So, yeah, I definitely think Cade is going to win some gold medals. And I have him getting double-digit All-Star nods. That's my prediction for Cade, long term. So we'll see. Roger, Detroit versus everybody, man. Detroit versus everybody, y'all. Want to thank you guys for showing up, man. It's been fun. Got a chance to talk a little Cade, talk a little Pistons history. Next time we do a stream, somebody actually tweeted this to me. They asked me how far back I can name NBA champions. And I think I can go back. We can, if you guys want to do a test run now, we can do a test run now. Throw out a year. And any year up to like 86, I can tell you who won the championship. Between then and now, I can tell you. So let's just have fun real quick. Let's test my knowledge real quick. Give me a year and let's see. I won't cheat. My phone's right here. I want to test my own skills. Throw out a year and let's see if I can guess who won the championship within, let's say like 5 seconds. Give me 5 seconds. Let's see if I can get the team of who won the championship that year. So let's see. Anybody got any teams you want to throw out? Any years? Anybody afraid? Anybody think I can do it? I wondered because that cap game is 1998. I thought you were going to say how far back your but my hairline does not go far back. Look, it looks messed up right now because my hat's on, right? But I got a hairline, bro. Leave me alone. I am not on my Stephen A. Smith right now. I don't need all that. I don't need no Rogan haircut. I'm good. But that's pretty funny. No, I'm actually straight. I don't need all that. I'm good. All right, man. We'll call it. We'll save that for next time. We'll save that little trivia for next time. But I definitely want to test my knowledge on that because I thought that was a very interesting question. You know, if I could actually do that. So we'll see. Maybe I'll get King on here. We'll do it together, and that'll be fun. 2001 Lakers. That was the second of their 3 championships. That year they played the Philadelphia 76ers. Iverson. They won in 5 games. The Philly won the first game. I think Iverson had like 40-some points. And they came back from being down double digits and they won the game. And they never won a game after that. That was the last game they won. Phantom, I said like 80s and on, bro. Like 80s and on. How old do you think I am, bro? 49 was the game even around back then? No. Crazy, bro. 91, that was the first of the three-peat by the Bulls. That was Jordan's first championship. And they beat the Los Angeles Lakers, who were without Kareem. Vlade Divac had replaced him, and I knew it was a wrap when I saw that. And Jordan went on to, Jordan, that was the beginning of Jordan's ascension. And that was the year they swept the Pistons. That was the year that the Pistons walked off. And that was the year that set off the tense rivalry and just the tension between MJ and Zeke. That's when it started. Yeah, but you know better. Oh, my bad. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. 20, come on, bro. Oh, so you want me to guess? Okay. 2026. Let's see. That's 2 years from now. That's a great question. I don't know. You know what? I'm going to say either the Spurs or the Pistons. How's that? Spurs or the Pistons. In 2 years. I think Wemby's going to take the lead by storm, bro. I really think he's going to go crazy in a couple years. We already see in the second year, he's already an all-star. Like, it's getting ugly quick. So we'll see. Brandon says 1988. Lakers. That was what we talked about. That was the year when Zeke broke his ankle and all that. 25 points in the fourth quarter. They lost the game and lost in 7 games. They lost the next game. That was a phantom foul on Kareem. They called it on Bill Laimbeer. He made both free throws, put them up 1. I think they won up 1 point. So that was tough. Seattle Sonics, mate. Interesting. Okay, so you think there's going to be a team that returns in 2026? Are they going to be okay? They're going to be a franchise that's added. That's interesting. Okay, it's funny you say that. Who's going to be on that team, London? That's the question. Who's going to be on that team? They cheated us to beat us. Yeah, I know, Broderick. I know, bro. I know. I could go on and on and on and on and on about that. It's tough. You know what? I'm gonna here. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna like go rapid fire real quick from 88. I'm gonna go from 87. This is and somebody pull up Google YouTube. I just want to see. Let's see. I'll start with 87. 87 was when that was when the Lakers won. That was steal by Bird, and the Lakers won. 88, Lakers win. 89, Pistons. 90, Pistons. 91, Bulls. 92, Bulls. 93, Bulls. 94, Rockets. 95, Rockets. 96, Bulls. 97, Bulls. 98, Bulls. 99, Spurs. 2000, Lakers. 2001, Lakers. 2002, Lakers. 2003, Spurs. 2004, Pistons. 2005, Spurs. 2006, Heat. 2007, Spurs. 2008, Celtics. 2009, Lakers. 2010, Lakers. 2011, Mavericks. 2012, Heat. 2013, Heat. 2014, Spurs. 2015, Warriors. 2016, Cavaliers. 2017, Warriors. 2018, Warriors. 2019, Raptors. 2020, Lakers. 2021, who won in 2021? Oh, Bucks. 2022, Nuggets. No. Yes, Nuggets. 2023, Warriors. 2024 was last year, Celtics. No, I broke it. No. 2022 was the Warriors. 2023 was the Nuggets. 2024 was the Celtics. My bad. I got the last 2 or 3 wrong, but whew, that's a lot, man. Yeah, you caught me. You caught me. I corrected it though. I corrected it. My bad. But all right, so 39 for 40 ain't bad, right? Bro, I was not. I promise you, I was not. Listen, come on, man. Y'all know me. I ain't gonna cheat. I'm not gonna cheat. No fooling, bro. Hey, listen, man. I know my teams, bro. I'm a basketball somewhat almanac. Somewhat. Toronto was 2019, right? 2020 was the Lakers. Yeah. See, I know basketball a little bit, y'all. Y'all be trying to play me a little bit, but I know this game, man. I've been around for a while. I'm 38. I know I look 18, 28, whatever, but I've been around for a little minute. So that was fun, though. That was fun. Last thing, we'll end it with this, Damian. Here's a fun fact. Cade is the second player since Grant Hill that the Pistons drafted. Wait, what? Cade is the second player since the Pistons drafted. Oh, to make an all-star team, the other is Andre Drummond. Wow. Well, no, that's not true. Because the Pistons drafted, they drafted Dumars. Dumars went to a few all-star games, right? He went to a few all-star games. Can't forget him. And he was a finals MVP, you know? Oh, you said the second player since Grant Hill. My bad. Okay, I got you. Since Grant Hill. Okay. Now you're right. 100%. Yeah, you're right. That's not good. That's not good at all. Oh, man. Yeah, my bad. I see what you're saying now, Damian. I got you. Since Grant. Well, hopefully, Trajan can change that narrative. Okay, last thing, guy. Okay, last thing. I asked this earlier, and we'll end it with this. Of the guys, because think about this. Cade, to this point, has not played with an all-star yet. Right? To this point, he has not played with an all-star yet, which is crazy to say. Who is the first all-star that Cade plays with? Is he going to be somebody who was already on this team? Or is he going to be somebody that the Pistons bring in? I was thinking about this the other day. I have my answer, but I want to know what you guys think. Is it going to be somebody in free agency? Is he going to make a big splash? Is he going to make a move with the deadline this year to bring in all? Like, what do you guys think? Do you think Cade is going to play with an all-star that is currently on this team? Like all-star in the making? Or is it going to be a guy that we have to bring in? That's a tough question, right? I have my answer, but I'll wait because I want to get you guys' answer. As I wait, I'll go through these comments real quick and then we'll get out of here. Y'all mean to tell me Harry Ellison there, man? Harry Ellison did, oh my God, bro. It's so crazy because so many people thought he was going to be good because he played great in Summer League. He had a great Summer League and it was terrible everywhere else. Oh my God, Harry Ellison. Yeah, God bless you, man. Okay, so I see Ivy, maybe Ivy. The way you remember all the details about multiple pass. Bro, I can't help it, man. I can't help it, bro. It's just like, it's just in my brain. It's just in my brain, bro. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's just there. I've been watching. For me, it's music and then basketball. As far as hobbies, it's always been music first because of my family's history and then basketball. So like, I just can't help but to remember all this stuff. I like stats. I like details. I just love basketball, bro. So I appreciate it, man. Yeah, it's just one of those things. So yeah, I'm seeing Ivy. I think it's Jaden. I think Jaden's gonna be an all-star. I think if not next year, I think the year after. He'll be an all-star. To be safe, I'll say in 2 years. Because had he not gotten hurt and continued to ascend, I think he would have had enough of a jump this year to maybe be able to get in as a reserve next year. But now that he got hurt and he's maybe out for the rest of the year, he may be a little bit forgotten by the league a little bit. Unfortunately, the way Cade was kind of forgotten in year 2 when he broke his tibia and was out for the whole year, you know? So I think it's going to be for Jaden at the earliest next year, obviously. At the latest, 2 years from now, I think he's going to be an all-star. And I think that's going to be the guy that Cade plays with that is an all-star. So that's all I got. End it there, man. I'll be back on next game against the Mavericks. I think that's tomorrow night, right? I got to check and see. But we'll tap back in tomorrow. This has been fun, guys. Shout out to Cade. Shout out to the Cunninghams, Cade, Cannon, Ashton, Kennard, Kales, their mother and father, JB, Jalen Bennings, Ashton's brother, all of them. Shout out to everybody who has been part of the journey of giving us a great basketball player and a great human being, great role model. So, all right, man, we're going to call it a night, man. Yeah, his mom Carrie, his father Keith, all of them, everybody, man. They all play a part as for every family. It takes a village, man. So it's gonna be fun. Looking forward to the All-Star game. Looking forward to seeing Beasley hopefully in the 3-point contest. That should be fun, right? He better get there. I don't know how he doesn't. But yeah, it should be fun All-Star weekend, and we'll go from there. So with that said, appreciate you guys hanging with your boy. And as always, Detroit versus everybody. Peace.